I said you're good.
You riders think you know everything. You know that? Think you know everything. All right, but I like today. Had a modified day. Had some good, a lot of special teams work, a lot of individual work in all positions. Got some good team stuff. But like the attitude, like the execution, much more urgency, much more consistency. And like I said, we got some work to do in all three phases, and this is going to be a huge week for us going forward. How we take this and work and get better and get in the groove of the season. It's going to be a long run after this, so we got to get ready to go. Questions?
A week like this on the bye, I mean, is it used more for teaching, refining things, or what is it used for?
We're going to fundamentals, a lot of basics. We'll work on future opponents. Put work in to introduce some schemes that we've already had schemed up for them from the summer. So those guys, when teams that have a hard time, you have a hard time in 1 week preparation. We spend a couple days on, introduce some things, and we can go back to it. It'll be a lot fresher. They'll understand what we're doing. But a little bit of both of those things, and then we'll also get ready for Wake Forest.
We probably don't normally like a bye week this early, but the fact you got such a young offense, it's kind of a good time to work out some of those kinks.
Right now, I think it came at a perfect time, just because of where we're at and what we got to do. We had some young guys play well. We got big for that first game. Second game had a little lapse in, played well, and then that grind. And it's understanding that you got to do it every week. Now it's going to be a long grind after this, but sometimes just stepping back from things, getting back in that fundamental piece. And like I say, we're not where we want to be, but about where I thought we could be. You know, so a little disappointing in a couple little things in some games, but we're learning. But our culture to play hard, play together has been good, and we just got to get better.
Jimbo, a team scoring more points than ever. Do you think sometimes people kind of forget to or don't know how to appreciate a defensive effort? I mean, usually a lot of times they think goals are that often.
I think it does, but you know it's funny. Teams are scoring, but when you're playing good people, you're not scoring tons of points. You're not scoring those outrageous points. And there's a couple games I did the other day, but there was a lot of fluke plays that happen. Usually when that's happening with real good teams, it's usually there's some fluke plays and things that happen in a game that are crazy. But those real good teams are still playing for good defense.
When you watch, maybe with it's Ole Miss, Alabama, are you watching maybe games on Saturday with coach's mind, trying to pick them apart, or are you just watching kind of for your own
both,
enjoyment?
just trying to see how people scheme-wise, what they're doing, what's out there. We see most everything, but just interesting to watch teams and how they attack people and different philosophies and things. A little bit of both. Try to enjoy it, but you can't. It's too much habit. You know what I mean?
I think this is the first time in a while you've only had the one bye week.
Yeah.
It's kind of daunting having 9 straight games?
Yeah, it's going to be very tough. Usually when you start playing over six in a row, it gets very difficult. And I think that's something college football's talked about, trying to do mandatory 2-week buys during the season. I think it's good when you keep extending the season like we're doing in college football to have these kids, because of pro ball you do. You know what I'm saying? They're playing 16. We're basically end up playing 14, 15 most of the time. I think it's good to get those in there, especially you're talking about younger guys. They don't get to lay in the training room all day and get treatment and things that go on in pro football. I think it's good to have 2, but it is what we have. It's going to be very challenging.
After going back and watching the film for Boston College, anything stand out to you on the offense?
We left a lot of plays out there. Offensively, there's 4 or 5 really big plays in that game that are left out there on the field. Now, we got to execute them, but at the same time, we got to coach our guys better to get exactly what we want them to do and how to do it, and get them to do it. And then there, defensively, really thought we kept great leverage on the football, tackled well, played play actions well, played physical football. Special teams did a great job punting the football, punt coverage, changing field position when we had to in that regard, which was big. We hadn't done that consistently all year. That was another big improvement which we did. We found out Roberto's human. He does, and you can't always count on those things. You need to score some touchdowns. And but we have a chance to be a really good football team if we will just take the coaching and we will coach better and make sure we explain better, and then get them to play better on Saturday and let some of that anxiety and youth just start to grow up and play.
Back to Friday's game, there's a timeout right after a break. What happened on that play?
It was a timeout right after I called a timeout.
Yeah.
Called a timeout. All right, when they said, well, okay, 30 seconds. Well, when they come over, and it's on both of us, because usually they typed, okay, we're going out and we'll start the clock. Well, when they did, they started the clock right then as soon as they told me. You know what I'm saying? Instead of letting us run to the field. Well, we went out there and they got in the huddle like we normally would. All of a sudden looked up, there's 10 seconds on the clock, and I didn't want another delay. Now, it's on me, and that's why we were having our heated discussion. And those guys are great guys. I've done a lot of games with them, and usually the miscommunication, that's on both of us. We got to get that, but it ended up, ultimately my fault. We got to make sure we do that. But it was a miscommunication of when they were going to start. It was getting ready for play, but when they do that, it usually let you kind of run out there just for a second and then blow it. But like I told those guys, and we laughed. We get an 8-hour break, then all of a sudden you need a timeout to give you a 30 seconds. I don't ever know. That's kind of crazy, you know what I'm saying, when you do it. But we got to get it. I just got to pay attention.
Kind of disappointing things on offense. What are the couple that stick out?
Yeah, we had some missed assignments up front. Physically got beat on a couple things, and we just left plays on the field. I mean, there's plays. I mean, chunk plays. We just finish a throw, make a catch, one more block. I mean, your inches and things that really shouldn't have been that hard to make, we just didn't make, and they're out there on the field to make. So we got to coach them better, put them in, get them to do it better, and then they got to play better.
Was having physical mistakes up front, is that better or worse than if it was maybe mental?
There's a few mental things too now. Don't get me wrong, but because it's not that we can't, it's that we didn't. That's where we got to coach better, and be better. They got to trust their tech. And when you're young, sometimes you know what to do. Do you trust it? And that's what I talk about. You got to trust yourself. You got to trust your coaching, what you're coaching, and trust myself that I go do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what happened with it.
What did Derek Kelly do with the extended playing time?
Played solid. Had a solid game, especially for the first time. Had a chance to really help us. And good thing we got Mavety back out here now. Getting Mavety back out here in the rotation will be huge too, because I think you can give breaks to guys inside. You know, sometimes with young players, you know, you saw the Patriots do it the other day. They play that offensive line, some of those young guys too serious and pull them. You know what I'm saying? And let them get their bearings on the sideline and go back in. And you're building depth. So there's some guys now we keep building depth there. We can give guys breaks periodically, not just physically, but mentally. You know what I'm saying? They kind of just take a deep breath, and we got guys who can go in there and execute also.
How's Minshew progressing?
Good. And hopefully, they're talking about it, getting a new brace in and possibly getting him back in practice. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Featherston's working real hard. Hopefully, we'll have him back by the end of the week. Marcus Lewis is out here running real hard. Hopefully, have him back by the end of the week. We're starting to get healthy, which would be big.
Is that his guard, tackle, or both?
Guard. We'll be a guard first. Playing our guard first right now. But he could do both.
Those miscues when they happen on offense, do you wish your team would have responded a little bit better?
Yeah, and you always do. But, you know, the thing I was happy about, and I know this sounds crazy, he didn't get frustrated and turn the football over. But I've seen those things when you start missing plays, all of a sudden you say, I got to make a play. And you start trying to see things that aren't there. Just try to force a ball in somewhere, a throw thing. And the big thing in those games, when you're in a game like that, of not turning that football over, is just as big. Now, we want points, don't get me wrong. But the thing I was happy about, we didn't let the frustration overcome us to where we got careless with the football.
Were you a little surprised to find out that this was the first time in school history that you've gone 3 straight games without a turnover?
Yeah, I really have. I mean, that is kind of amazing. It really is.
I think you talked a little bit about the interior of the defensive line on Friday. After going back and looking at
they
those
played
guys.
well. Niall played well. Noddy played well. Christmas played well. Kelly and the linebackers filling down, and they were able to make plays. Those linebackers filling those holes, coming, seeing those double teams and getting downhill. And play action get you some, but they recognized that, got back well. Those guys, I thought that complement of tackles and inside backers really played well in that football game.
For Derek, that's 2 games in a row now.
Yes, and Reggie did some good things in that game.
What's come on? You said the light's turning on for Derek. What exactly has that?
Just understanding what to do, and he's seeing things, and he's triggering, and now the confidence is coming. Okay, I can do this. And all of a sudden you start to see the ability come out, and he's processing the game very well.
Did you get to see Jameis pick up his win yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Did you talk to him at all?
Oh yeah, I talked to him right before the game. I talked to him after. He was good, just to check on him. I was very happy. That's a big win. That's a hard place to go win, and against a great opponent. I was very happy for him.
All right, we good?
We're good.